Tina Karras. Wow, what a pleasure to speak with Tina. Started as a musician from North Carolina, went to Los Angeles with a guitar and excellent classical guitarist, musician. She found herself at the Roxy. They hired her on the spot. She was there booking gigs and they hired her. Next thing you know, she's in charge of all the liquor purchases there and notices a gap with vodka. So ends up creating her own vodka. Tina's vodka. It's available right now. I had a bottle with my friends, very smooth, all non-GMO, organic corn. She farms it out. She, with her distributor, found a great source. There's no GMO, no additives. What I learned in this conversation is that so much liquor these days, they can add fructose, they can add all these additives and not mention it on the bottle. If they meet certain specifications, they don't have to mention it. There's very popular brands that you drink today that are filled with corn fructose, that are filled with additives. It's absolutely horrible. But she's in this industry. She's woman owned. She's organic. It's based out of corn. There's another. I always thought vodka was potato, but I learned the difference there. But just a great conversation. You know, she's an artist. She's an entrepreneur. She's inspiring. And once you hear her story, you're going to want to try her art, her music. You're going to listen to, and then you're going to try this vodka. You're going to have to order it online. It's only available in California over the counter at restaurants now. It's going to be in North Carolina soon. It's expanding, but you can go to her website, tinasvodka.com, and order it. It's tremendous. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration.
Awesome.
Tina Karras, thank you so much for your time today.
It's Karras, by the way.
Karras.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry.
Yeah. The big fans would be very disappointed that I mispronounced that. So excited to talk to you today. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
What makes a great vodka?
Well, for me, it really starts with the source of the grain. What you're going to make it out of is very important. And as you know, in our country, there's tons of GMO. And that's what people don't realize when they're talking about GMO seeds. What goes hand in hand with that is the pesticides. And that's the scariest thing. And that's what's making everybody sick. So we specifically chose non-GMO organic corn to make my vodka. And I think really just one thing I love about the liquor business is very much like art and food, where you really craft things. So we really did a lot of work to craft to get to the best quality vodka with the smell, the taste, the smoothness, the viscosity, the way you feel the next day. All of those things we have to take into account when you create a vodka. And it really does come down to personal choice, but really the vodka should stand on its own with all of those elements. Because, a lot of vodkas taste good going down, but because they're full of additives and other things, the next day you pay for it. And that's the real testament of a good vodka, I feel like, how your body reacts. It's the greatest doctor, teacher, listening to your own body. So,
yeah, and I know you're not allowed to say that it doesn't give you a hangover, but it didn't give my friends and I one, that's for sure.
Great.
Yeah, and so on your website, you've got an image of like, you know, corn that's been has GMO and non-GMO, and it's just it's striking, strikingly different.
Yes.
So, sourcing it is makes all the difference. Now, I know you're from North Carolina, that you're from the South. You grew up on a lot of corn, but what I learned from you is that I always just assumed vodka was just potatoes.
Yes.
Not the case.
Not the case. Originally, when it was created in Russia, yes, that's what it was made out of. But vodka is one of the few spirits that doesn't have the rules that other ones do, like with tequila, where it has to be a certain percentage of agave and made in
Mm.
certain parts of Mexico, or same thing with scotch, has to be made in Scotland, or, bourbons with a specific amount of corn. You can literally make vodka out of anything. So it doesn't have those proprietary or nationalistic laws attached to it. So
And it's just, I'm sorry.
No, I've seen it made out of sweet potato, quinoa, milk. I even had one made out of milk, which I did not like at all because the essence
Mm.
of the milk still was in the vodka. It was very confusing to the palate. So yeah, literally, you can make vodka out of anything.
Because is it a process of fermentation?
Yes.
How does milk ferment? I guess anything could fermentate. I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know how they did it. They said it was like they had it was some farm that like the runoff, whatever leftover milk, and they're like, hey,
Mm.
let's see if we can make some alcohol out of it. And
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because everything ferments. I remember reading a study just recently on how animals like squirrels and stuff, when the nuts fall to the ground, they look for the ones that are more fermented because they get a little drunk.
Oh.
Yeah, and so anything could actually be fermented. But you chose corn, and you exhaustively searched a place, I believe, out of Wisconsin that met all your standards.
Yes. Correct.
And what was that process like? You went to many farms, you talked to them, and this regenerative farming is going to be a thing that we must do.
Yeah, regenerative farming. That's why. Have you seen Kiss the Ground, the film yet?
You mentioned it in one of your things, and so I saw it. It was tremendous.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's so inspiring because if we just go back to the way nature did it before we messed it up, so many of our problems will go away. Because it's not
Mm,
even so much, we're here, it's past the industrial revolution. But
right.
the real cause of our problems is the pollution and the pesticide use. We get rid of that, and we'll be healthier. Everyone's healthier. You got to be, just more in sync with the planet and not afraid of the natural process of bugs and feces. Like they say, the poop has to stay in the loop. That's part of how things grow, and there's an intelligence to that where the earth knows. Like you saw the visuals. That's one thing I loved about the film. The
Yeah.
visuals were so stunning on how the earth just knew exactly where to send the nitrogen, send the
Right.
carbon, send the oxygen, and everybody, all of them work together. If you throw pesticides in there, it just destroys everything, and
Mm,
none of that intelligence is there. So yes, the distiller I work with, we work very closely together, and we're actually working on a different. It's not really different vodka. It's just we're looking for a different source that already has this certifications. Because while my corn is organic and non-GMO, it takes forever to get the certifications. And any
mm.
day now, I should have the certification with the non-GMO portion, but the organic one, the line is so long.
Really?
So, oh yeah, it could take up to 10 years to actually get that certification. So we're actually looking to see if we're talking to farmers now who already have that. So we can just
Mm.
ride that in through that way instead of going around the way we're doing it now. So, and the pandemic changed a lot of things. I was in California, and it was the San Diego distillery. And the next thing you know, the world shuts down.
Mm.
And then they moved the distillery to Wyoming for many reasons. And so that's where everything it's been a very, I would say, untraditional path because of
Mm.
that. I never thought we would, we came up with the idea for my vodka for many years. And then we were about to launch it, right? We were trying to make festival season of 2020. We had
Wow.
no idea what was upon us.
Nobody did.
So yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of stops and starts, and trying to just figure it out. Like I got the phone call one day and say, okay, we found the glass bottles. You have to buy them today, or they're going to sell them to someone else. So I had
Wow.
to put it all on my credit card, like $20,000. Otherwise,
Oof.
who knows when I was going to get glass again. And Jim Beam, big brands couldn't get glass. So I was lucky to get that. Yes. So it's been kind of a renegade guerrilla style putting my brand together over the past few years.
Well, talk about renegade. So you're a musician
Yes.
and you leave Charlotte. Your father won't let you go by yourself. You get all your stuff shipped. And so you go to Los Angeles and you're a typical Greek father, of course, loves his daughter and wants her to be safe. And you eventually end up at the Roxy and I don't want to ruin tell us.
Oh yeah, I know. Looking back now, I can't even believe because life was so much simpler back then.
Mm,
This is before social media. This is even before cell phones. We had to get a Thomas guide, this thick map, and this is back when LA was really inexpensive to live. Like you could be a broke artist, and I lived a good life. Like my rent was around $600 a month. I
mm,
lived close to the ocean, and I was bartending, playing open mic nights, just trying to figure it out. And there was a lot of people. I went to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and when I came out here to visit, I ran into a lot of my classmates. And so I had a lot of help with, hey, look around here. And, I got to sofa surf for a minute while I figured out where I was going to live. And so after temping at like, record labels or whatever, making almost no money, that's like, I don't
mm.
have any time and I don't have any money. So let me go back to what I know best, which is working in a restaurant so I can free up my time and make more money. And so, yeah, it just kept evolving very naturally. And I had no idea that it was leading me towards what I'm doing now. So yeah, working at the Roxy, I was performing there, and then was waiting in the office to book the next show, and they were just really slammed. And this is like when you called in and gave your credit card over the phone.
Right.
It's like in the
Imagine.
night, yeah. So a long time ago, and so ended up getting a job and started right there on the spot, just because it was a very fluke thing. And now the Roxy's been in and out of my life ever since for
Wow.
over 20 years. Yeah. So then I just became the liquor buyer there, and that's when I realized the whole with a domestic brand that's not full of pesticides. Because this is another thing about alcohol, because it was originally created for medicinal purposes. Back
Mm.
in Europe, it was, gin and tonic. There was apothecaries where they would make a specific cocktail to you, and then they would make one to me. But you can't patent that.
Mm.
So you've got, you can patent a pill because it's the same pill for everyone. So there was a customization that just doesn't really happen anymore. But alcohol, there's just one documentary film about how beer saved humanity because it was back during the time of cholera. So if you drank water, you were probably going to die. But if you drank beer,
Right.
you survived because the beer was treated. It
Right.
killed all
Right.
yeah. So there's a lot of, there's a huge history to alcohol that I don't think gets the attention. It gets a bad reputation. Of course, you should not drink and drive or overindulge,
Of course.
but alcohol does. You remember time, growing up, like your grandparents were like, "Oh, just take a shot of tequila. Your cold will be gone the next day," and that's true. So that's why we wanted to really focus on the cleanliness of a vodka. So when I was at the Roxy, every brand is pitching their SKUs to me because they
Hmm.
all want to be at the Roxy, and that's when I realized there was a hole with a domestic vodka that was organic, non-GMO, and tasted good because I've
Mm.
tasted quite a few organic non-GMO ones, and they were not. They were terrible. I'm like, can't you make it smoother than this? It's so like to blend all that craftsmanship together and come up with a good brand. And yes, the whole time I was writing music, doing that on the side when I could. I went through 3 different producers,
Mm.
finally got the right one, and same thing, finally finished the record, and then we went to mastering, and literally the next day the world shuts down.
Mm.
So everything just was kind of like on hold, and we were like 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and it felt like I think I've blocked out a lot of that now. I don't remember everything, how terrible
Yeah.
it was. The same thing with you, because you were in New Jersey, right?
Connecticut, yeah,
Okay.
for the summer, yeah, but yeah, you're right. I was just like 2 weeks, yeah. This will only be around another month, and then next thing you know, it's a year. It's absolutely
Yes.
crazy. So
Yes.
when you were there and you became the liquor buyer, did you gravitate? I mean, you saw kind of a gap with the vodka. Was there similar gaps in tequila, or whiskey, and gin? Why just vodka?
Well, I think that's because of the way people think of vodka. Oh, it's odorless, tasteless, and you can just mix it with
Mm.
anything. Because I would hear a lot, oh, it's just vodka, doesn't matter. People give a lot
Right.
more credence to, oh, I have to have a good tequila, or a bourbon when you sip it. Because
Mm.
typically you don't drink a vodka, room temperature.
Right. Neat.
You usually have it on the rocks, so you have it in
Mm.
a martini, but even that's a lot for people. So I think there's this lack of care when it comes to vodka. But the way I look at it is if it's going to your body, you should get the best. Your
Mm.
health is number one. And yes, it's alcohol, but get the best alcohol. If you're going to drink, get the best. Don't compound anything with the additives because, per the law, if they stay under a certain threshold, they do not have to disclose to you they put in additives. And so
Mm.
after it's distilled, oh yeah, after it's distilled, there's a lot of brands that cut it with glycerin, high fructose corn syrup, sugar, all types of things to
Wow.
mask the poor quality. And you can't really taste that, but you pay for it the next day. You
Mm.
can feel it because a friend of mine, we did a blind tasting, and she was drinking this one particular brand. And after we did the blind tasting, she hated this one. And she's like, I can't believe how bad this vodka is. And that was when she was drinking. And so she actually switched brands, and she said all of her indigestion went away. And she
Wow.
she didn't equate it to the vodka. She thought it was the food she was eating. So yes, so that's the thing. Like with gin, people take that one more seriously. Where
Mm.
there's more going on with the herbs, different ways you can mix herbs, and same thing with the tequilas and all of those. So it's vodka. Sadly to say, in most venues, like music venues, well vodka is the number one SKU, and it's like that
Mm.
should not be the case. So I wanted to have a vodka where it's like, hey, we did actually do something different with this. It's a vodka. It's odorless, colorless. You can mix it with everything. However, we took another step where we filtered it through a proprietary system that involves organic renewable coconut shells. So it gives it a different mouthfeel,
Mm.
and it gives a different, the smell is better. There is always a smell to alcohol, but there's a subtle sweetness to mine, and that's why it's so clean. We removed every impurity left over from distillation. So there's a distillation, and then there's a filtration, and the only thing in my bottle is water and organic spirit from corn. That's it. There's
Wow.
no extra after the fact. Let me cut it with something. And that's the thing. They don't have to tell you. So I'm not a normal person. I've been in the business so long, but a normal person just think, oh, it's just vodka. Oh, it's just whiskey. It's just tequila. But they have no idea they're actually drinking, sometimes in some tequilas, food coloring, caramel, sugar.
Wow.
And they have no idea because they don't have to disclose it. So it's not okay, in my opinion.
Even though it says 100% agave, they can still put those ingredients in.
Yes.
Wow.
Because that's what it's made out of. Yes.
Right.
But then they don't have to say if anything else is added because it stays under a certain threshold.
Interesting.
Yes.
And I guess vodka, now that you mention it, I never really viewed it, but it has kind of a bad rap of being, yeah, kind of uh, and there's always those jokes or, like police would drink vodka because you couldn't smell it on your breath or,
Yeah,
right. There was that
totally.
kind of, right. And
Yeah.
why is that, by the way? Why can't you smell vodka on your breath?
Well, that's part of it because it doesn't. It's supposed to not have. It's supposed. That's the whole nature of it. It's supposed to be as neutral as possible,
Ah,
and that's just the nature of it. Because yeah, like you can smell the whiskey, you can the
right.
smokiness of a Scotch, and the
Yes.
tequila has those specific qualities, and a good vodka shouldn't be. But that's going to the quality of a vodka. How many? I mean, I've smelled like the well ones. Oh my god, it's like alcohol kick you in the face.
Yeah.
It's not good. And yeah, you can cover it up easy with orange juice or
Sure.
any type of mixer, but you're still drinking a low quality. And what is that doing to your liver? What's it doing to the rest of your organs? Because everything in moderation. Because
Of course.
the vodka, I'm not even a big drinker. I'll do one or two max, but I enjoy the craftsmanship of it. And like when I've gone to
Mm.
so many tastings and dinners, and we talk about this is where we got this idea from. Look at the way it is in the glass, smell it. There is such a craftsmanship and pride that goes into making spirits. And I wanted to be a part of that because I thought it was just fascinating that you could do that. And yeah, to your point, like in the United States, people don't take vodka seriously.
Right.
And so a lot of my whiskey drinking friends and vodka and tequila friends tell me, they're like, yours is only vodka I will drink. I hate all other vodkas but yours. I'm like, thank
Well,
you.
I love your vodka, and so do my
Sure.
friends. Talk to me about distillation, because yours is multiple times.
Yes, well, so since it is organic corn, it's not the crop is not always the exact same. So we really
Ah,
pay attention to what it needs. Sometimes it needs four, sometimes it needs five. It can go up to six times. That's
interesting.
yes. So we watch it when we're distilling it, and then because if like it's GMO and it's the same thing, it doesn't matter because there's no variance.
Interesting.
Kind of like the way wine is, where it's like that crop that year. You just have to watch the grapes and pay attention to how it's reacting.
Mm.
So that's a big part. But really, the filtration is what sets mine apart.
And there could there be a year like grapes where the corn was susceptible to more rain, and so you have to probably less distillation or more? I mean, you have to
Yes.
adapt depending on that's fascinating.
Yes, exactly. I love it. It's very cool. Work with nature, and
Right.
that's why we're looking at different farms now. And actually, I was working back and forth with my distillery. We got one sample. It's not exactly what I want, so we're going back to the drawing board to see how
Wow.
we can get it. Just have that difference because it is fascinating how corn from Minnesota tastes very different from corn from Wisconsin.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really really fascinating to see that.
And Tina, have you so when people I see people try wine and they smell it and they sip it and then they spit it out and they try the next one. Is that how you tasting your wine the vodka? Is it similar?
Similar, yeah. I like to drink it though.
Now, aren't you afraid if when you drink it, it's going to influence your next tasting because you're going to get feel it a little bit after a while,
Yeah, a
right?
little bit, yeah, yeah. But usually, we don't have that many samples, because
I
it's like
see.
one or two, maybe three at the most that we're judging between. So it's like a typical wine tasting. You're just checking out multiple wines. But for my
Sure.
purpose, I don't need that many. I would rather get it as specific as possible from the start.
And always neat.
Well, I like to. I mean, that's the way we taste it. Yes, to see the
Right.
quality, and then I do try it with ice, and that you can. Have you? Did you try it neat? Did you try my vodka neat?
Yeah, so I bought the big bottle
Oh, you
for my
did.
yeah,
Oh,
I bought the big it's a
thank you.
beautiful bottle. And so there was the three out of three or four of us and we all drank it neat first cuz I wanted to taste it and everybody loved it. And then we got some really high-end ginger beer and some lime and we made Moscow mules for
Yes,
the rest of the pool time and there's nothing left and it was great and we had a great time and everybody was praising it. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And
thank you.
it's like you said, just so smooth and just there's a couple of kind of high end vodkas that you see up on the shelf, and I generally tend, even with any liquor, when you pay for what you get, and you don't have a hangover. So it's that, but this was just very smooth, Tina. It was yeah, it was done very very well. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the compliments on my label. I actually have the new
Yeah,
bottle.
yeah, that one was like that. Yeah, ours was not like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's got a green cap. Well, during the pandemic, we could not get the caps, the screw caps. We had to
Ah.
have the corks, and now we got the caps, which I love the dark green. And then I actually have etchings in the
Huh.
bottle this time. I've got the owl because it's Athena's owl. It's kind of like my story
Ah,
of being a
Greek
female
goddess.
owner, Greek goddess, yes, and also the wisdom of planet Earth. Work with the planet, not against it. Cooperate. And then I have American made etched in, and on the back, I have the alpha and omega. And on the bottom, I have the Greek word gnosis. So it's like field of knowledge. So it's the
Mhm.
knowledge. What you're starting with is what you end with. Start with the good crop, you'll end up with a good product. Start with GMOs. No.
There you go. Yeah. And it just builds from there. And it was fascinating to me also to hear how you just can't make liquor and sell it. You have to go through distribution.
Yes. Yes. We are still dealing with prohibition 80 plus years
Wow.
later. Yeah. So that's the
Wow.
system. And I could get my own distribution license. You can do that route to self distribute. But with that, you're asking accounts to then you're asking customers to open up another account just for your brand.
Mm.
And so with a distributor, I'm with Southern Glazers in California, and they're the number one distributor in the United States. And they have a sales team already. They have a network. They have trucks. They have everything you need, insurance. So it's a blessing to have a distributor like that who can introduce me to all their clients and get me in there. Otherwise, it's just me against the world. And
Mm.
it's not, and it is asking a lot as a buyer. And if that's one thing I feel like my whole life has prepared me for this. Since I am a buyer myself, I know what a buyer needs. They want something, make it easy for me.
Right.
Don't give me more work because I'm dealing with workers' comp. I'm dealing with staff not showing
Mm,
up. I'm dealing with
mm,
bills, fire department, ABC. So the last thing I need is to pick up slack for someone else.
mm.
So I try to make it as easy as possible. Here it is, price on invoice. I'm with this distributor. Everybody has an account with Southern. Boom, it's easy. So, but yes, the distribution is a whole nother ball game, and in every state is different. Every state has their own laws, and then every county in
Right.
states can do their own thing as well. So it's very interesting to deal with it all over. And like for example, like Southern is not in every state in the country. So and then like Greek is on, who is where you got my bottle from. They're based
Yes,
in
that's right.
Massachusetts.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and they ship to 44 states, but some states will not allow you to ship spirits inside the state, like Kentucky,
Wow.
Utah. You cannot ship spirits. Yeah, you have to buy it from within the state from their ABC licensed stores.
Mm.
Yes,
I think New Hampshire is completely state sold too, isn't it? I'm not sure,
I'm
but
not
I know like
sure.
in Texas, I spent a lot of time there, and like every bottle has to be like that's unbelievable. It's
Like a
just
sticker on
laws.
it. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
every bottle's got to have the sticker.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a lot of yeah. In North Carolina, it's that way. It's the ABC stores, and if you're going to sell it to you, have they can look behind the bar, and you'll see a sticker on every bottle. And if you don't have a sticker, that's a big deal. You can
That's
be
right.
fined for that. Yeah.
You can be fined.
Hmm.
Why go into this business, Tina? It's tough.
Yes, that's a great question. Well, that's, with being a liquor buyer, it kind of just fell into my lap. And it is a
Mm,
great business. I will tell you this. I think people, there's people do have their hangups about liquor and, all of the things it entails, but alcohol is what keeps the lights on for your sports games, for your music, for
mm.
many restaurants. That's what pays the bills. 50% of a venue's income is the bar. So there's a whole industry that comes from that, and it supports a lot of families. I've made a lot of friends through working with all the different suppliers and distributors, going to the dinners, going to the events. Some of my best friends I've met through this business, and
Mm.
it is a whole nother subculture that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. They just think, oh, it's just wine, whatever, beer. They have no idea what it took to get that bottle onto that shelf.
Mm.
And it's fun. It is not easy. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. I'll be honest with you. And I never thought I'd go through it during a pandemic as well.
Right.
But that's the way I look at it. If I can get through that pandemic, and because immediately, I work with music venues and festivals. We were furloughed immediately, and California
Wow.
was very
That's right.
strict. We were shut down. So suddenly, I don't have a job on top of everything. So that was a lot of fun. And so, my debt is a little nuts, but I'm proud that I could get it together and do it on my own so far. And I'll see
Mm.
how long I can do that and get the cash flow going. Cash flow, that's my new
Yeah.
focus because that's interesting. But, I still work full time at my job, and, I'm very blessed to have been kind of prepared for this where it's like, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'll just make my own tequila because it's like the new thing. Everybody's jumping in, especially celebrity brands.
Mm. Oh yeah.
But I've been in the business, I've been buying alcohol for over 15 years now, and just, you know, met so many people, learned so many things, and that world is still changing, especially with the digital world. You couldn't do anything online before. You had to meet with the liquor rep and they would literally call in your order. Now you can order it online and just send your order in and get it the next day. And so the world is changing a lot, and the manufacturing with everything going on in the country with suddenly the truckers, and the gas, all those things. I have so much more respect for anyone who does logistics and drives a truck. Give them mad respect because they're the ones keeping
Mm.
the economy going for sure.
Yeah, they certainly do. They get everything to where it's supposed to be. And I
Yeah.
know you always hear restaurants how they just kind of break even on the food, but they make the money at the bar.
Yep. Yep. And that's it. And it can be, and it should be something to enjoy because being Greek, I grew up in a family that was not taboo about alcohol at all.
Right.
They're like, you want something to drink? We're like, yeah, it's gross. I never had a hang up about alcohol. It was never, it's like, not a big deal. So I never really indulged, but I appreciate it. I like it. And, but it was never a bad thing to stay away from. So I never had that relationship to it.
Kind of negative stigma. Yeah, we've never had. My father's Italian, and yeah, so we never had that kind of negative stigma. He would put like drops of wine in my, baby
Yes.
bottle. I mean, this is, it was,
That's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it's just the, and I would sleep well, and um, yeah, there is a lot of that because it's just like anything, it can be, it can be abused. Now I mean, you went to Los Angeles as an artist. Like, you have a great Spotify. I listened to some of your songs. I really enjoyed
You.
them. How do you? I mean, how much of what you do now is in the liquor business is art versus scientist? A musician is, you're writing songs, you're creating music, you're going through producers, and I guess it's not. Is it that dissimilar than being than creating great vodka?
I think there's a lot of similarities because, math, I mean, music used to be considered science. It was considered like a
Mm.
math. It's a lot of numbers, a lot of figuring out. And I think that's one thing that made me good at my job is because, with costing out things and deal with numbers, I was always very fast at it. And people are like, how are you doing that so quick? I'm like, I'm a musician. That's the way our brains just kind of get wired, where they just work well together. And there is a lot of craftsmanship that goes with songwriting and with spirits as well. But yeah,
Mm.
I did view them as separate for a very long time. And sometimes, it's like, I'm a musician. Why am I working in a bar? And, there was a lot of frustration too. And, but now seeing how everything evolved, looking back, I realized how they very much complemented each other. And, with my job, I was able to pay for my own record to be produced, and the liquor business always pays well because if times are good, people drink. Times are bad, people drink.
They still drink.
So I think they really complement each other in a lot of ways and it is very much connecting people. I think one thing we learned over the pandemic with restaurants, like, we need community. How much you are sitting around a table and enjoying company. It's not about the food. It's not about the liquor. It's about the company you have. And music and food and liquor can bring people together in a unique way. And where, like, even when I would go out to eat to meet with liquor reps to, talk about what brands we're going to carry, first hour and a half, we're not even talking about business. We're just talking about
Mm.
life. And in the last few minutes, we're like, okay, we'll do this, this, and this, and this. So it's very much a connecting people business, what I like. And music is very similar that way.
Mm. How much influence do patrons have at bars, at restaurants, to get a certain liquor in there?
It really depends because it depends on how receptive the owner is and what their
Mm.
ideology is. Because I know, like, a lot of big, like, say, arenas and stadiums, those are a lot of deals because you can tell, it's brought to you by this brand, or, and you
Uh,
can see behind the bar and you have a captive audience. So you're going to drink whatever they have. But because I also deal with partnership deals and sponsorships, and I've seen where, what the best thing is for a bar is to give people what they want.
mm.
Because you're going to have like one and done. Okay, I'm going to drink this beer just because I want something to drink, but we're going to go somewhere else afterwards and
Right.
drink what we really like. Like, say you get this big deal, you do a sponsorship marketing deal, and no one wants to drink it. So now it's hurt your bar sales. So the best thing is to have, the consumer, it does have the power for sure. And, I always say that, vote with your dollars.
Mm.
I don't participate in restaurants that, mistreat you know, their staff and or have just poor practices with their food. Like, I will gladly pay more money to eat at an organic, non-GMO place to support that
Right.
way of life and support our planet that way. So the customer does have a lot more power than they think. Just vote with your dollars, literally, and ask for what you want.
Mm.
Because that's what there's, when I was pitching my brand to other places, they're like, we hate this beer, but everybody drinks it, so that's why we have it. So it depends on who is making the decisions. And as you know, not all are created equal. That's
Mm.
why a lot of restaurants go under because there's just not, you can't just, people will stop coming to you.
Yes. It's interesting. I see more and more videos of, tequilas, of gins, of whiskeys, of people. These very popular brands most often are not, the best for you.
Oh,
the ones that are celebrity endorsed or celebrity sold or whatever it may be. And, you know, try these alternates, they say. And I guess, you know, I even see, I saw one video where one of the very popular tequilas now that was sold by an actor, and I think we both know who it is. And there's like caps on it, lock caps on it, because people are like drinking sips of it in the liquor. It's not good. It's just not as good as the others. It's
I
just, I don't
agree.
know. The marketing has been tremendous, but
Yes.
it's just not as good. And they add GMO, and it's not. They add additives, and it's just not labeled. It's not on there. You have to find out through alternate means. I mean, the system is just set up for us to. Well, it's all run by money, isn't it, Tina?
Yes, and that exactly that just preaching to the choir because
Yeah.
get the word out there because people just don't know.
Right.
You know, this is a brand I'm familiar with. I hear
Hmm.
the name. Oh, it must be good. Oh, I recognize this guy. And yeah, because they have so much money behind them, it is hard for someone like me to break through that that noise and to be like, well, why should I pay a few dollars more for your bottle? And I'm like, because the next day you're going to be thanking me on how good you feel.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's priceless. When you have a hangover, I had one vodka that I used to drink all the time, and I only drink my vodka. I don't even drink wine anymore because
Good for you.
I could feel the heaviness of the sugar
Right.
and everything. And this I went to this one place and they didn't have my vodka, so I had something else. And I had the worst hangover the next day. I didn't even have that
Ah,
much to drink, and I was like, I would do anything to feel better. I would gladly have paid twice the price
right.
because you drink coffee, fried food. No, it just has to run its course. So that education, I think that a lot of people think, oh, if you drink, you're just going to feel terrible the next day. And that's not necessarily the case. If you drink good quality, like you're saying,
That's
you
right.
found out, wait a minute, this tequila has all this extra stuff added. That's what you're reacting to.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and get high quality stuff and drink some water too, by the way.
Yes.
And you know, and knock on wood, I haven't had a hangover in many, many years because I just kind of live by that. And I think it's worth it. Now, the other big obstacle, Tina, I mean, you've you've entered into this market, you're doing well in it, but you're also completely woman owned. I mean, it's a male dominated industry.
Yes. Oh, yes. Aren't they all?
Yeah.
Yeah, what that it's part of the symbolism of Athena's owl on my bottle is because the Greek part, of course, but Athena was the goddess of war, which is male dominated. She was the boss, so I really like that, and I agree with you because I can always tell. I even had one of my attorneys. I've gone through 5 attorneys, by the way, since I started this, and
Wow.
when they're talking to me like I'm a person, when they're talking to me like I'm a girl. Like, and so
Mm,
when I encounter that, I'm like, okay, and I just move on. I'm not going to try to change them because I think
right.
sometimes people don't even realize they're doing it.
Mm,
Whatever the subconscious or conditioning they've had. And I don't feel like I present myself in a way where I'm dumb at
not at
all.
all.
But
Not
I've
at
been,
all.
well, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
But I've had that, like one of my first attorneys, they told me I couldn't have the name because another company was squatting on Tina in the tequila category, but it was
Huh.
not out. And he was like, you have to change the name. I'm like, I'm not changing it. It's my name. I have every right to use it. And he was so condescending and unbelievably rude to me. And I'm like,
Wow.
I'm paying you. Like, you can't talk to me like that. And it was bad advice because I did have to fight for my name, but I got my trademark. And if I listened to him, everything would be different now. So it's also trusting your gut. But yeah, he was just, yeah, and that's why I got a new attorney. And we found a solution. We added to the name. So I came up with Tina's Planet Vodka and went through just fine with the trademark office. And then I ended up having to fight, he was right about one thing. I would have to fight for my name, but I won.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so that was not, it wasn't, wasn't even a tough fight, really. I mean, it was stressful, but the new litigator I hired, who, by the way, always treated me with respect and never, and
Mm,
I think also he has daughters too.
yes.
I think that makes a difference. I've noticed that when men have daughters, they treat me with much more respect than men who don't. And that's the thing. I don't even know if they realize that. That's my observation.
Yeah.
So he was great and got rid of it in one letter. And these other guys were making it sound like, oh, you just have to give up everything, work with me. I actually have in writing, work with me the next 6 to 9 months and we'll come up with a new name together. It's
Hmm.
$600 an hour.
Wow.
So So I have dealt with that, and especially in the distributorship and everything, it is mostly male dominated. There's a lot of women that are coming up through the distributors as well, and the supplier side representing the brands. There is a lot of women, and I try to focus on the individual really, and just if we vibe and we're good, I don't care what your gender is at all. But yeah, it is very male dominated, and sometimes I can sense, oh, you're just some girl, whatever. Like,
Ugh.
okay, okay, thank you, goodbye. Um, yeah, so,
Yeah, I have 2 daughters, and I think, I wanna treat others and get treated like I would hope that they would be treated and be
yes,
treated like that's the really only way, you can look at it. So the problem is that how can like if we didn't contact each other, I wouldn't have known about you. You come on podcasts, you try to get the name out best you can. You don't have the Rock or somebody, as a spokesperson. So, all these marketing dollars. So how do you get out there?
that's a great question. I ask myself that every day. Well, one thing I am doing that I have chosen to do, especially from my experience as a buyer and seeing it really needs to come from the customer. Like
Mm.
if I get the word of mouth out there, lips to the spirit, like like now y'all are talking about like this is
Oh
great
yeah.
vodka. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I know it felt
We're
great.
ordering more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And I'll send you a new bottle. I'll send you one of these that
Okay.
yes. And they I just feel like the industry is changing because people do want to know what's in, they want to have
Mm.
better quality.
Mm.
And I do think it's also a time for the entrepreneur, the small business, especially during the pandemic, we were almost all wiped out. I don't want a Chipotle on every corner. I want to go to the mom and pop restaurant. I grew up in a mom and pop restaurant. If the pandemic happened when I was a kid, we would have lost everything. I don't even know what would
Mm.
have happened to us. So I think now people are, and they want something more authentic. I'm not just some corporate think tank that just came up in an office and like, hey, let's just put this actor on this and just this in the bottle. And yeah, ladies will like this and ladies like astrology. Let's just throw some stars on it and throw it at them. Like mine is real and there's
Yeah.
authenticity to mine. And so I consciously am working to get where I have customers who want to come back because they like the product, they like my story, and they want to support organic, non GMO farmers. Because this is another thing, 40% of all the corn grown in the United States goes to making spirits. If all that went to regenerative agriculture, can you imagine the economic impact, the environmental impact that would have, and how much better our air would be, our water, what it would do to the soil? So I think people are looking for that as well, where the corporations, not all of them, but generally, it's just bottom line, let's make it as cheap as possible, make the most money as possible. I think people are getting away from that. If you had to break through that noise, I have to reach the customer directly. And
Mm.
that's one of the reasons why I'm really thankful that the state of North Carolina approved me to be on their list, because it's this control state.
Mm.
So the distribution is different. Everybody has to go to the ABC store to get the bottles. So there's a lot more opportunity, I believe, for me to see. I'm also from here, and just that a customer and a retail person will go in there and buy what they need to buy. And if the customers are asking for it, they'll just go get it, and they don't have to worry about ordering from a distributor who's going to ship it to them, who can influence the order. But like, don't buy this brand,
Mm.
buy this brand because I'm going to
Mm.
get a bonus if I hit 10 cases of this
Mm.
giant brand. So order this and just leave this order off. Like I can the reach is a little bit more authentic and
Mm.
direct.
That's very, very difficult. And yeah, I wish you the best. So my story. So I started my business. We're both Generation X. I heard you say that. So I assumed you were much younger, by the way. But
Okay.
uh, I started my business in the '90s, and I wasn't paying attention, and I was working too much, and I gained a lot of weight, Tina, and I was up to 340 pounds. And the doctor said to me,
Wow.
my daughter was just born, and my doctor said to me, if you don't lose the weight, you're never going to see her graduate. So I spent the next year and a half, you know, uh, and I lost 130 pounds. And people ask me, how did I lose all the weight? Like it's some secret, like it's some silver bullet. And I just said discipline. Yeah, focused, and I got discipline. That's how I lost it. So I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life, Tina.
Yeah. Wow, that's an amazing story. You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because and that's another testament to you healed yourself with, like you're
Mm.
saying, with your own discipline. You didn't just, okay, give me surgery and some pills.
No, no,
Like,
no.
all right, I'm going to improve my diet, and I'm going
Not for
to,
me.
yeah. And you had a goal, and you're like, that's a scary thing to say too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it
But it was,
worked.
yes, yeah, and awesome. Like you look great. Actually, I saw something last night online that Generation X is the only generation where we turned 30 at age 10, but are still 30 at age 50. Like that is so true.
That is good, actually. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. So I think just being that generation, we had to figure it out. We were left out in the wild to just fend for
Mm.
ourselves all day. So I think my discipline just came out of like survival skills that, every day it is, I'm not, there's a new challenge every day. And so it's like how I'm learning how I'm going to rise to that challenge with, say it be, yeah, there was a problem with the screw caps, couldn't get the glass. Okay, now the corn is 3 times more expensive than it was before the pandemic. Things like that. And then also being furloughed. So I think the main thing for me with discipline is just to just try to figure out in the moment and go with the flow and rise to every occasion, and not, and have my moment of, oh shit, what
Mm.
now, and have that, okay, now, all right, okay, what's the solution? Find the solution. And I think also, having a business plan and trying to be structured in today's world, I don't know if that's necessarily the best way, because I think the plan for me, just being for myself, can get in the way of the unconventional things that can come to you. Because my brand is unconventional, I'm unconventional. I would like to
Mm.
stay that way. And I think my discipline would be staying true to that, and taking things as they come. And in that moment, find the solution. Because, for Gen X, that's what we had to do.
Yeah, we certainly did. Yeah, and being your parents were born in Sparta in Greece.
Actually, my father was. My mother's Greek American. Her
Oh,
father was born in the island of Patmos, and her mom's family is from Sparta as well. So she's Greek, but she was
oh
born
my
here.
goodness.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I have a ton of Greek relatives still. We might be cousins. Italians and Greeks were like this.
Yes.
You know, um,
Absolutely.
yeah. I still have a lot
And
of cousins in Sparta, and I'm here with
uh,
my aunt, my cousin in Charlotte, all Spartans. So
very my friends here are Athenian and Cyprinian here
nice.
in New Haven. Yeah, and but that itself being kind of first generation like that here has a certain level of discipline as well. I mean, there was in the restaurant business. You said you were washing dishes at 8 years old, so you started getting that work ethic right away.
Yes, yes. And I think that's another thing that influenced me just taking these risks, because my whole life I heard stories, my grandfather in Patmos, there was no opportunities there. All the wars,
Yes.
people that talk about the wars, Greece was really devastated by that. So him and
Mm,
his brother, who got on a shipping boat, came to America and just never got back on the boat. And
wow.
this is like in the 1910s. So there was no paperwork or anything. And then he met my grandmother. They got married, and that's how he became a citizen. But he, you know, didn't know how to speak English either, just learned as he, went along, and then opened restaurants and became very successful, put 3 kids through college. And then my dad, same thing, came from Sparta. He came in, this is in the 60s. So he came in through his sister who was here already, and, just figured it out. You just throw yourself into this unknown world. So for me to go from North Carolina to California, it was just normal. That's what everybody in my family does. Like, and then, okay, I'm gonna start a vodka company. Let's just go for it. And hopefully the net will catch us, and to see what happens. So taking risks to me was just like a family trait. So I never
Right.
looked at it like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. It was kind of like that was normal, and I'm happy to do it and to be my own. As it's a shift in mentality to be a
Yeah.
business owner from being an
Yes.
employee. Totally different ball game. And it's not easy. It is not for the weak. And yeah, the biggest thing is to trust your gut. And as I'm sure you know as well, You're going to make mistakes along the way. You've never done this before. You're creating something new. You can't know everything in advance. There's no way to know um, everything, because otherwise it would be boring. One, but so that's one thing I'm learning through maybe my discipline now, is to be easier on myself when I, oh no, now I should have done this. Well, now I know. Instead of beating myself up for why didn't you know this? There's no way you could have known. So now that I do, now I'll work from this point forward and till the next thing comes up that I'm going to learn. But it's a challenge every day. It's wild. And but it's satisfying. It's
It's
nice
satisfying.
to look back, to hold this bottle in my hands and be like, "Yep,
Mm.
look at this. It's real. I can," and people are enjoying it. It's the payoff is great.
Yeah, my father in Italy got his first pair of shoes when he was 12, and
What?
yeah, yeah, they worked in the fields there and they just kind of had these like makeshift, and so he only wore them to church but it's just hard to, I can't tell these stories to my kids. There's no way they'll relate, and it's just, it's just the way it is. And he came here and his cousin was here and then he went to welding school and became it's just the kind of blue collar mentality. I started
Mhm.
working with him when I was 6 or 7, holding, sheets of metal while he'd weld them, and, that's just, I just always was working like yourself. And it's just, I can't imagine, it's hard to relate to some who don't have that ethic.
Yes.
Also, I love on your website, you have a Spartan mule. And when I first saw it, I said, well, I understand the source of this, obviously, but I love the way that you weave in your culture and your family into your product. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Where in Italy is your dad from?
So my father's from Caserta, which is south of Rome, north of Naples, southern Italy. Yeah,
Nice. Do you
where
speak
it's very.
Italian? Or
I do see. Yeah,
nice,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
I speak very little Greek, but
Oh,
um,
really?
yeah,
Yeah. I have a lot of Greek friends here. I've Alexopoulos,
nice.
Sophocles. I have a lot of Greek friends, and I love the culture and just the best people. And they just bring me in, welcome. Yeah, it's just a warm, warm
Yes.
people.
Warm
Yes,
people. Yes. It's like you come
yes,
over to my place and it's like, what do you want to eat? What do you want to
right.
drink? Do you need a
Yeah,
blanket? What do you need? I'm going to just give you everything. Yeah. It's very much we do that. I always joke with people. I'm like, I'm Greek. I have to feed you. Like,
that's
I'm
right.
compelled.
I remember my cousin was here for about 3 weeks. This is 10, 15 years ago, and hadn't spoken to her husband in 3 weeks. And she called, or they talked to each other on the phone. The very first question, has not talked to him for 3 weeks. The very first question, she said, "Did you eat?"
I love it. Yes. It's like, let me send you something. You hungry? Yeah. So
Did you
funny.
eat?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just built in. It's just built in. But
Yeah.
but they don't overeat. There's not an obesity issue. It's farm to
Yeah.
table. It's just
Yes.
it's very different way of living. And they've got issues over there too. Only if we could kind of melt the two, get the good from both and bring them
Yes.
together here.
Yes.
Uh, Tina Cross, what motivates you?
What motivates me? Wow. I think I just want to have a purpose, like that I'm doing something that has purpose, that
Mm,
is something to evolve to and to develop myself and contribute something, to feel like I'm, you know, on this planet for a reason, and for a good reason, and to, you know, live a good life and hopefully share that with other people and inspire other people to pursue their dreams and do your thing and be yourself. Because, like with my music, I jumped into that too. I was basically a beginner and just jumped into the classical guitar degree, and now it's my favorite thing to play. I still love playing it. I'm writing more music now, but
are you
just being
really?
true. Yeah. Oh yeah, always. I'm always writing. You're always writing. Even if you don't finish it, you're always doing something.
Mm,
And just adding to the world in a positive way, something that people can get behind and enjoy and leave that mark. And going back to what you're saying with, the Greeks with the food, when I was in Greek school, learning languages, they were like, oh, well, this word's borrowed from the French, this word's borrowed. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought the Greeks, we were first. Why are we borrowing words? So they said back in the day, Greek homes did not have individual kitchens. So as a village, a community, you would all cook together and eat together.
Huh.
You brought the community together. So you have outside cooking and all the people would go together. So it was a bonding time. And that's why food is so important, because it's also the way you
Interesting.
connect with people. It's the way you were part of a community and that connection with other people. So that's why it is so important. It's more than the food. It's like, I'm taking care of you. I'm looking
Hmm.
out for you, and we're bonding over this experience. And so I think that type of mentality has affected what I do. Like my music, especially being a depressed musician for many years, a depressed Gen Xer,
Yeah.
a lot of my songs, like, some of them I don't want to share with the world because it's just going to bring other people down. Like, I don't need to share that with you. I put out my music, specific songs that I feel like are inspirational, that hopefully will leave you in a better place. Like when I listen to John Fogerty, Creedence Clearwater,
Of course.
instantly I'm in a good mood immediately. And if I could do that with for someone else with my music, because music is very healing, and
Hmm.
just, not to bypass the way you feel, but just to uplift you, I would love my music to do that and contribute to a life that way. When I'm like, oh, I got to hear that song again. I would love for someone to have the reaction to my music and, feel good when feel better after they heard my song.
Mm. I was at an event in Las Vegas about 3 weeks ago, and they hired John Fogerty to perform, just for
Really?
about 10,000 of us. Yeah, he was tremendous. I mean, he's
So
almost 80
good.
years old. I
Yes.
mean, the body of music with that man is absolutely incredible. Do you make it's an interesting point you just kind of alluded to, like your music d- and even your vodka, your art. Do you make your art for yourself and hope others like it, or are you making it for them?
It's a really great question. And I don't really know the answer, to be honest with you, because
Mm,
when I'm writing, usually it's inspired. My job, I feel like over the years, is I don't write music, I allow the music to come through me.
mm,
And like my job is to get into the place where I can hear it. And then next thing I know, it's just there in the song. I'll look back and I'm like, oh, I wrote that. I forgot I wrote that, because it's kind of a stream of consciousness. So for me, it's not about writing. It's about really allowing and being in the flow with that.
mm,
And it's a very interesting thing, because your brain works in a totally different way with the music, with the counting, with the notes, with the lyrics. It's like you're working on a whole different level. Your conscious brain can't do it. It's got to be from like the subconscious, and your super conscious is, it's actually when I was recording one of the guitar pieces, um, in the studio, I heard in my head, my left brain, how are you going to hit those notes? What are you going to do? And like, I
wow.
totally botched it. And then we were about to do the next take. And I was like, shut up, left brain. Right brain's got this. And then I played it fine. So it's like using different parts of your brain, where that's, I would like my music to have that effect on people, where it's like it's inspired. You can tell it's not coming from the lower mind. It's coming from this other place where it's just, and at that point, you can do with it whatever you want. I hope other
Mm.
people like it, but I've learned the hard way. You just have to this is what it is, take it or leave it. And you can't let the people who like it affect you either.
Right.
Because then you start
Yeah,
conforming to that, cater to that
exactly.
crowd, and you're out of your
Yes.
authenticity. So yeah.
Yeah, praise can be just as destructive as trolling. Yeah, Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino has a great quote, and I'm going to botch it, but he says something like, "I make movies for myself, and anybody can come and watch if they want." And even I know, like even the podcast here, like
Yeah.
I ask questions that I want to know. I never think, well, what would somebody else want to know? It can't really affect me. And then you have somebody like, so Bob Dylan writes Along the Watchtower and releases it. Within 2 weeks, Jimi Hendrix performs it in a live concert, and Bob Dylan is there. And when Bob Dylan hears Jimi Hendrix perform it, says, "I'm never going to play that song again. It was never mine.
Wow.
It was never
Wow. Oh, that
mine."
gives me chills.
It
Yes.
gives me chills too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it kind of came in through him, but he says it came in through the wrong person. It should have came through him.
Wow.
So
Ah.
I exposed it to him, and he never played it again. Yeah, and transfer. It's amazing what art can be. So, do you consider yourself an artist, an entrepreneur, both?
Both. Definitely
Yeah.
both. Well, I think, it's you, same thing. You're putting yourself out there in a way that, you will get criticism and you will get
Right.
praise. And it's like you gotta just can't care about either one. And it's like you're crafting yourself. Like every interview you do, you're growing and changing and becoming a newer version. New questions come. So that's why I feel like the vodka and the music are very similar,
Hmm.
because I'm literally making this up as I go along. And the same thing with my music, like I was writing something. I'm actually writing a song about the owl on my because it's an idea I got. My cousin visited from Greece recently, and they're like, "What do you want?" 'Cause they always bring gifts, and bring me some owls. They're called kukuvayas in the
Hmm.
Greek word. They brought me so many different owls. It's pretty funny. So I have this whole idea that it's going to be a funny song, but it just came to me like that. I'm like, oh my god, I have to write about that. Just random lyrics that come through my mind, or like even like the song "Lemon Lime Soda." That actually came through my job because I remember I was sitting at a left light in LA on my way home from work, and just your brain just does random things. And I'm like, what is even in a lemon lime soda? Because I guess I did the Coke order that day. I don't know. And I'm like, what is it? And I'm like, is it just sugar? What is it? I'm like, I don't care. I love it anyway. And I'm like, okay, I
Hmm.
got to write that one down. So it is just so
Interesting.
it's just, randomly as your brain is just doing its thing. And how, a lot of my songs were, influenced by my job, and, or, even like my one song, Potential Energy, on there is about being a songwriter. Because I actually played some of music for this music person, and all they did was criticize it.
Wow.
So I was devastated. This was, I was like 19, so this one teacher was like, the best way to get over criticism is to make art at it. Include in your art because it's healing, and you might actually get a good piece of art out of it. So I did. I
Hmm.
took one of his songs and just mocked it like crazy. I felt better. I felt
Wow.
great. I completely shifted that criticism, and it turned into this song. So um, that criticism can also be your fuel in a
Yeah.
way.
Turn it around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you're just literally making it up as you go. And I think that's, especially us as Gen X. Okay, where are you going to be when you're 21? What are you going to major in? What are you going to do with the rest of your
Hmm.
life? It's
Hmm.
like I have no one knows. And I think that's the fallacy we're put in, that there's no way you can know. The
Yes.
world is, no one knew we were going to have cell phones like this, or the internet, or um, anything that we have right now. It's mind-boggling that the iPhone, what it does,
Yes.
and how it's changed the world. So I think that's really what life is. Every moment, being in the moment, and just making that new decision. Who are you going to be? I think that's another thing, that what you identify yourself with.
Hmm.
Like you're saying, do I consider myself an artist, or do I consider an entrepreneur? Yeah, it's like, 1 minute I'm
Yes.
both, 1 minute I'm
Hmm.
one, but it's like,
Yeah.
what do I? And also, to further go into that, I identify with being a successful artist, a successful entrepreneur. And what does success mean to you?
Hmm.
Like finishing my album. I was saying, now I can die now happy. I got my album done. I got it the way I wanted, and whatever happens from this point on, it's gravy. Um, but yeah, like, how do you consider what your success as being an entrepreneur and doing what you've done? Do you have any, like, with your YouTube channel and everything you're doing, all the podcasts?
Yeah, it's for me, it's just if I could help just one person, if one person could say, I learned from, your conversation and I was able to, that's all the difference. And even if they don't say it, even if I know somebody, that it helped. I mean, that's the best thing. I mean, as I get older, Tina, I find I have more questions than I have answers.
Yes.
And so I keep asking. It's the Socratic method, right? Is question-based learning.
It all comes
And
back to the Greeks. Yeah.
eventually the cradle of civilization.
Yes.
So yeah, my you just kind of stole my thunder. How do you measure success?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great, and I think it is on a day to day, moment to moment basis, because
Right.
you're gonna have bad days. You're gonna be like, why? And sometimes I'm like, why couldn't I just been happy just doing this and this and this? Why am I putting myself through this?
Mm, mm,
But I think at those moments, that's when you're about to break into the next level of consciousness too, where the old part of you, there's a whole, and that's, I feel like that's what life is, just an evolution of consciousness, keep rising up. And through the job, through being an entrepreneur, like on a master level course of that. So every day, yeah. How, I guess, for me, judging my success is very hard, because building a brand, I just see all the stuff I have to do. Like, oh my God, how am I going to? And then I can get very easily overwhelmed. So I try to stop myself in the moment and be like, hey, look back at what you've accomplished. You'll
mm,
figure this out. You don't have to know everything right now. What can you do today? What phone call can you make today? What buyer can you reach out to?
mm.
And just take it in smaller steps, instead of, okay, I got to do all this. because then you're just going to feel defeated. You won't feel successful at that point because the list is long of what you haven't done. But, one thing at a time, I guess, being in the moment, staying true to yourself and not compromising. Because I think that's another thing, especially in musicians that I know of personally that sold out, just put out a song just because they wanted to make money or whatever. They're
Mm,
the most miserable people I've ever met and
mm.
hate it. And it wasn't worth it to sell out their essence like that. And to, the money will come. I feel like it will follow your energy about it. But the main thing is being true to yourself and every day figuring out what that is. Because it does vary.
It does vary, yeah, and there are many artists that don't like their fans because they do what you just said. They still get to a point where they're just kind of, appeasing them and not themselves, and
Yeah.
you gotta ask yourself the hard the hard questions and be able to answer them, and,
Yeah.
you know, Tina, your story is absolutely incredible. I was so excited when you
You.
accepted this. And, knowing how passionate you are and knowing how much care you take into your art, your vodka and things you do helps inspire people and also helps them make an easy decision to enjoy your art, enjoy the things you create because the story's there and the care is there and it's very evident and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's the same thing like with like songwriting, when I go to a certain chord or a certain note or a certain there's a reason for that. There
Hmm.
was a lot of thought put into the craftsmanship that I feel like is lacking in a lot of music now where it's almost like it's a trance. No one changes keys anymore. That's like a fundamental tenet of songwriting, change keys. But
Yes, it
yes, and
is.
same thing. I would like to inspire other people to like, hey, if I can jump in here and do this, you can too. Find your niche, find what you're good at, find what you love too, and just go for it. The worst thing you could do is fail. It's worse to not try. The worst not to even just not do it. Just, and not get in the game and get beat up in the game. At least you're in there and you're gonna stick around, you'll end up fine. No success is
Absolutely.
really overnight, you know.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and you gotta keep at it. And there's gonna be tough times, and you've gotta do your best to keep at it and surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah. Yeah, and people who believe in you and people who be honest with you too,
Mm.
because I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of yes people who it's like, I don't want that either.
Don't want it either. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How can we listen to your music? You've got a great Spotify channel. How can
Thank you.
we get your vodka? How can we get in touch with you, Tina? Anyone who's listening?
Yes, so I'm on my website, tinasvodka.com, and then my website is tinakarras.com, and there's a page dedicated to my vodka on my music site and my music on my vodka site. And then, yes, on Spotify and Apple, all the digital platforms. If you just search my name, I'll come up. The album's called Classical Dreams, and I actually wrote the song Magical Ones during the pandemic. I added it to the album because it's about meditation and finding the power within you to create your life. And don't look for the magic out there. Cultivate it in here. You have that power. You have that energy. The inspiration is powerful. And don't give your power away to anyone else. I think that's the biggest thing with my songs and even with my entrepreneurship. And I'm sure you're the same way where it's like, all these people, there's so many out there. No, no, no. Or I hope they like it. No, hey, I'm doing what I'm doing. The right people will find me. And keep your power and hone it, craft it, not power over people, but just your own
Mm.
energy and intention. And then as far as where the vodka is sold, I'm all over California, NorCal, SoCal. I'm in Albertsons, Vons, and Pavilions in SoCal. Not in all of them, but if you go to my website, I have a map that has everything. I'm in a ton of
Yes.
restaurants. The Mercado chain, Jesse Gomez, is same thing. He's an entrepreneur. He owns 6 of the best Mexican restaurants in Los Angeles. We bonded because same thing. He grew up in a restaurant washing dishes.
Mm.
And so he's put my vodka in all of his restaurants, and it's been great having that like-minded support. And then Greek is on. I'm in Massachusetts, so you can order from Greek is on right now. And if you join their mailing list, you can get free shipping. And then I'm just now launching in the state of North Carolina. So any day now, I'll be in some of the ABC stores. And same thing, every county has their own ABC. So I'm working on, I have like 30 calls to make tomorrow. Literally
Wow.
spent the morning making a whole spreadsheet on the next people I need to call. And so those are the three states. And so thankfully for the internet, you don't have to physically be in a particular place. You can ship it. And yeah, and you're going to love it. It's going to be a new favorite vodka. It'll
It's
make you
my favorite.
awesome. You have great
Yeah.
taste.
It's my favorite and it's my friend's favorite as well. And yeah, we got the bottle and we were excited and I'm definitely going to order some more and try mixing it with some others, start off neat and really enjoy it. So Tina's, it's Tinas, Tina's vodka. And
Yes.
of course, your last name is spelled Carras. I'll make sure to
Oh,
put it up here. Did I
Karras.
say C?
Yes.
K.
Your Greek
Okay.
friends are going to give you a hard time about that. There's no C in the Greek language.
And there's no K in the Italian language.
Really? That's
How do you
right.
like that?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and
Absolutely. All
there's
right.
no J either. My
Okay.
name is spelled with a G. Yeah, Giuseppe. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, Giuseppe. That's very cool.
Karras. Yes, yes,
Yes.
very good. Tina, thank you so much. If I'm in the Charlotte area, perhaps we could have, well, I guess we would have some vodka, wouldn't we? We would have
Yes.
some Tina's vodka, wouldn't we? Yes,
For
yes.
sure. And when I come to Massachusetts, which should be soon, I'll definitely let you know. I'll be in your area and I'll let you
Sounds
know.
good. Thank you so much. You be well. So wonderful to talk to you.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Calnita.
Kalenita.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Would you like to financially support the podcast? You can go to our Patreon site. Consider $5, $10, or $20 a month. There's all kind of plans that we have there. There's like a one-time payment. What is this podcast episode worth to you? $25, $50, $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000. You be the judge. You can go to our PayPal account to do that as well. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.